Welcome to Violin Lounge TV, where you learn to play the violin and viola with body, mind and spirit. This is your host, violinist Zlata.
Hello there! In this episode I'm going to interview violinist Paul Reynolds, who invented this thing. And in this interview we're going to talk about what it is and how it can be useful to learn vibrato and improve the position of your wrist, your left wrist, and your violin hold and intonation in general. But first, Paul, I want to thank you for joining me for this interview, for sharing information about the Wrist Rascal. I hope I pronounced it correctly.
You got it, Wrist Rascal.
Okay, good. So that's this thing?
Yeah, and I can explain the name too.
Okay.
Okay,
but maybe you can first introduce yourself and tell a little about what you do at the moment as a violinist and teacher.
Okay.
And maybe that can go into what made you invent this Wrist Rascal.
Sure. Well, like you said, my name is Paul Reynolds. I'm actually primarily a violist.
Okay.
I also teach violin, but I went to school for viola, studied with principal violists of the Cleveland Orchestra as well as the Philadelphia Orchestra, Bob Burden and Roberto Diaz. I got into teaching a little over 10 years ago after moving to a place called Vermont in the U.S. and doing a lot of stuff up here. I teach at Middlebury College and play with a lot of different orchestras, Vermont Symphony, Burlington Chamber Orchestra. You know, there's a lot of different freelance stuff, but I do a lot of teaching.
Okay.
And I take all levels, and one of the things I do is start kids as well as take amateurs and students that are wanting to go into conservatories, but that's pretty much it. But I came across a very common problem, which was this left hand positioning thing that with the collapsed wrist, that was a big issue that kept coming back over and over and over again.
Okay, and my viewers are from beginners to professionals, so perhaps we can explain what the collapsed wrist is and why it's bad.
Yeah, okay, well, I can give you a quick explanation. Some of you that know, here, with my viola, when you're playing, especially kids, when they first pick up the instrument, their tendency is to want to kind of pick it up and then sort of hold it with their left hand. It's just an instinct, and it's just a very natural reaction thing to happen. And so the left hand gets kind of collapsed like this. Now, you can see what that does is it brings this is correct. It brings all the fingers flat. So it creates all sorts of problems with developing consistency in intonation. So there's a very so I was trying to figure out how to battle this, you know, like what can I do? And there's a very popular method. There's different names for it. I can't remember, but there are a lot of teachers that just start their students up on the body of the instrument, like playing in third position, for example. So here's first. This would be third. So they do that for the reason of it's sort of a foreshadowing that they need to get their hand up and over the fingerboard and around the body of the instrument so they have this nice kind of C shape forming around. And what that does by encouraging the hand and the third and fourth fingers to reach up and over the fingerboard, their left hand automatically, this wrist straightens out. So the Wrist Rascal isn't a device that you rest your wrist on and just fixes it. It's there to remind you and encourage the student to build the strength around the upper portion of the hand by reaching around it, just similar to being in third position and having to stretch up to those notes around the body of the violin or viola. So here's the.
So it actually brings the third position, as I read, to the first position.
Yeah, essentially, I did a lot of measuring, a lot of measurements, where I tried to get almost the exact distance for each various size instrument from the first finger to the third finger, and that determined the distance of the Wrist Rascal. But I also the size of the Wrist Rascal. I also had to keep into consideration as you go up the fingerboard, the spacing between notes becomes closer and closer and closer. So the Wrist Rascal had to be a little bit more forgiving in first position because it's a larger space down here. So I couldn't make it the exact spacing from first finger to third finger because that's just a little bit on the it would be a little bit on the large size when you're in first position to get that feeling of third position.
Yeah, because in the first position,
everything's closer together up here, you know. So down here, to get that same feeling, I had to be a little more forgiving and make it. So it's not. There is a science behind it that I spent quite a bit of time trying to get the measurements right. But I also determined after doing this, kind of pulling my hair out for a long time, trying to get it just right, that everyone's a little bit different in size, and no one has the exact same hand size, and so there's a lot of variables I had to deal with. So ultimately, it's just a rough idea. One might work perfectly for someone, and another one might not be perfect size. But I would say 90% of the time, you can find one that's just right.
Okay. Yeah. So, but it also doesn't need to be exactly the same as the third position, because the main thing is that it keeps your wrist like this and not like this or that.
The main thing is that you have something to remind you it's just an awareness of what's to come. So there's the Rascal right there. So what you do, this is in first position, you'd be just playing, kind of working around the Wrist Rascal. You don't have to rest your hand against it like that. You don't have to really. It's just there as sort of a foreshadowing of what's to come once you're in third position and you begin shifting. Yeah. So you could. It helps to develop the shape in first position. So you have a nice framework, a nice octave framework from first finger to fourth finger that you can ultimately use as a vessel which takes you up and down the instrument with the correct shape. Yeah. It's like a mold. It's like a mold, you get it, and that's what you use.
Yeah,
to play.
exactly.
Like if I'm in third position, playing an octave. My hand has a certain shape in third position, and if I do it there, same thing. So this I take to first position, and it should be the same feeling, but just it's a little bit larger spacing. Yeah. Anyway, that's a simple concept. It's try not to overanalyze it, but it's just basically a foreshadowing of what's to come, so you can prepare your hand for the future.
Yeah, so your hand position, you don't get against the wall when you play all the time like this, and then you get into trouble later when you try to learn vibrato or try to learn position play. I know you're limited in your time because you have to teach in a couple of minutes. So
yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. But like you just mentioned vibrato, it's also really good for there's a method. Another method that's used for teaching, where students encourage their student to go to around third position and work on vibrato by anchoring their wrist to the instrument and then practicing that wavering motion. So to work on a wrist vibrato, then you bring that feeling down to first. So you have that wavering motion that you've established in third. So the Wrist Rascal enables you to practice that if you'd like in first position. So you can use that same feeling and get it going in the earlier stages. So some people that like to start their students on vibrato a little on the early side, you don't want to start them too early. Vibrato shouldn't start right away, probably right around the time when they're shifting. You have to have a nice flexible wrist, and so you just anchor your wrist there, and you can work on that vibrato. Just another little thing you can do with the Wrist Rascal, and it pops. That's easily on and off in a second.
Yeah.
So it's super easy to put on, take off. You can use it as a Christmas ornament if you want. It doesn't matter. And whatever you want to do. But it's been very useful for my students, and it's I've had tremendous feedback. I got a great endorsement from James Ennis, the concert violinist, who tried one. I sent it to him, and he thought it was a great idea, and he gave me some tips about, this was a while back, so he gave me some ideas about band and some other development type things, and that was very useful. So it's also good for students that don't really have, like in the public schools, for example, who don't really have the means for taking private lessons. Not everybody can take private lessons; they're very expensive. So this is just something that they might have to kind of encourage them to get started on the right track and not have to fix bad habits if they do start private lessons a few years down the line. They've sort of already got a decent idea, a good setup.
Yeah.
A good start. So it's always easier to get started right than have to go back and fix bad habits. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. But I think a lot of people with things on their violin worry if it can damage their instrument and if it can be easily put off and on. You already demonstrated it, but it has maybe you can show a bit more about it.
Yeah.
About how it works.
I've tried a lot of different. This is actually probably about this is the right now it's the final product, but it went through many prototypes.
Okay.
It was originally a piece of foam that went to wax, that went to Play-Doh, to clay, to a lot of different things. Eventually, I hollowed it out because that made it lighter. There was, some people said, well, it's a little clunky, it's a little heavy. So, and then there was the problem of, will it damage the instrument? And so, ideally, down the line, I'd like it to be just like a solid rubber or something, so there's absolutely no concern. And there's no concern now because I have it protected by these little, little rubber feet that I put. Yeah, that's right. I have little rubber feet that I put on it, and that go right around the neck inside there too. So, I try to get it so there's minimal touching at all, and even if it barely touches the instrument, it'd be next to impossible to do any real damage. I'm trying to get the band case, the band I gave you, to have not too much tension in it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
And it's also it's also broad, so it's not very thin or anything.
Yeah. So so it hasn't caused any problems at all.
Yeah.
In that department. Like I said, I would like to someday, if I had to make 1 billion of them, which would be great if it took off like that, and people, at this point, they are available at Shar, so, they're on a somewhat larger scale right now, but it's not like every shop in the country has them. It's a very new product.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're still in the sort of the garage, working out a garage stage.
Yeah.
With this, so.
How long does it exist actually? When did you start to make them?
I started about 2 years ago.
Oh, okay, so that's quite fresh.
Yeah, I started making it little over 2 years ago, and probably about a year ago, it got closer to its final stage, and so they've only been for sale for about a year.
Okay.
And they just got into Shar about 5 weeks ago.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Shar Products picked them up, and they're going to be, getting it out there for me, and they've been great. They've been really great.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And a question I wrote down too, does it fit every instrument? Because of course necks of violins are shaped a little bit differently, and do they fit all instruments, or do you need to, I know you have different sizes?
Right now I have 3 different sizes. Like I said, because it's not, I don't have it down to a perfect science yet. It's perfect. Everyone's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I found that 3 sizes at this point work pretty well. Like I have one for the 3/4 and full size.
Yeah.
And I have one for the half and 1/4 size. So that's one. And then for the fractional size instruments, the little guys, I have something I call the itty bitty.
Okay.
Really tiny one that works quite well for anything under like 1/10 to 1/16. I don't think it'd be useful for like a 1/32. Or once you get down to that size, it's the hand practically on top of the body anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that will be very small. What people are afraid of with how do you call it, things they use, like also a pinky, how do you call them, things to put your pinky in and stuff. But,
like for the bow grip, they have some bow inventions where people put their fingers into various.
Yeah, exactly. And what people are wondering is, I think actually, is the how you transfer from how you go from using it and then developing the good habits to keeping them when you don't use it. Is there? Do you have tips on that?
Yeah, the thing that's unique about the Wrist Rascal, if used properly, which is different from other devices that are out there, is if it's sized properly and you're really using it correctly, you barely should be touching it at all. It's not something that you want to really rest up against, like I said, unless you're working on a vibrato. So, like when I'm in third position, for example, I don't have to be touching the body of the instrument, as you can see. Yeah. You know, I can, but there's a little wiggle room there. That's why it's important that it's sized properly, so you can have a little bend in your wrist. So, you just have to know that if you have a private teacher, that they should encourage the student just to work around it. You know, just be aware that it's there, and then take it on and off as needed. And I've had students that have used it, and then they start going back to the problem. So I put it back on again. Or I'll take it off, and I'll just say rascal, and they'll immediately go like that. It'll remind them that of the feeling they once had, and that they were working. So, you know, it's not something that fixes things right away and will stay. Like anything, it's muscle memory that takes time and dedication, you know. But it's a great awareness tool and to get students on the right track, you know. But yeah, it's just on and off, just like anything.
Yeah. So it's more a kind of reminder tool that sometimes you hit it and then you think, oh, I'm going the wrong direction. So it's not to cling on or something. That's maybe important to know.
You don't rest it, because that would be counterproductive. You want to encourage the students to develop the strength they need to reach up around the body of the instrument to strengthen the upper portion of their hand while they're in first position. Because when you strengthen that, what happens is the wrist straightens out on its own. You know, so it really is useful for that. And so on and off, so it doesn't become a crutch. You know, you really just
you don't leave it there and then don't think about it anymore.
I would say use it for, you know, people have used it for maybe a week or two, then they take it off for a while. They might put it back on they might just put it on when they warm up and then take it off. You know, it's just simply a sort of a reminder of the correct positioning that they need to have.
Okay, good. Yeah. Well, and if people are interested in, because I think I've asked all my questions actually. If people are interested in buying it, where can they go?
They can go to my website at www.wristrascal.com.
Okay.
Wristrascal.com. Or they can if they buy through Shar products, then they can get it there as well. Right now, Shar is selling them exclusively, so you can really only get it through my website, wristrascal.com, or through Shar at this point.
Okay.
Hopefully down the line, there was some interest from another company in Germany that contacted me, and I said, well, you have to go through Shar. So,
okay.
hopefully, it's very new. Hopefully they'll be available in other places, or many other places, I hope, down the line. But for now, those are the main two.
Yeah. Okay, very good. I think people can find it. Well, maybe just to, I think you have to go in a couple of minutes, so I'll keep it short because you have to teach. Because at your place it's now around 12:30.
Almost 12:30. Yeah.
Yeah, it's here 6:30 p.m. And where are you at the moment?
Right now I'm in Montpelier, Vermont.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, the capital.
Okay.
Yep. The birth of the Wrist Rascal, Montpelier.
Yeah. It will be known for that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and are there other things you are planning to do, or maybe other things you're planning to invent? Well, if that can be planned, or what you want to do with the Wrist Rascal?
No, this is pretty much my only invention. It's not something that I'm not an inventor. I'm a violist and teacher. It's not something I want to go into inventing. It's just something I felt I had to do because I was so frustrated pulling my hair out with these students that I just had to do something. I couldn't take it anymore. So that's what spawned the Wrist Rascal.
Yeah.
I don't plan on inventing anything else. Although yesterday in one of my lessons, I was trying to get a student to play softer than mezzo forte and louder than mezzo piano, and I said there has to be a dynamic in there. So I said, I've invented mezzo. So I'm going to invent the word just M, right in the middle, because I think there should be a dynamic there. But that's just an idea.
Yeah, I would ask the copyright for that very soon.
Property, IP, I invented mezzo.
Every composer that will use it will.
Hey, I was like, I always wanted to get a little louder than mezzo piano, I say, but don't go to mezzo forte. But no, I just the Wrist Rascal. That's pretty much my only little side project.
Okay, well, interesting, very good.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything you want to add, or want to say, or want to share?
No, just give it a try. I think it's very affordable and it's extremely useful. And like I said, I got a great endorsement from James Ennis. I once emailed the violin pedagogue, Mimi Zweig, and I asked her what she thought about it. It wasn't an official endorsement, but she wrote me back right away, which I was surprised.
Okay, nice.
She said that she thought it looked interesting and it could be very useful in the public schools, is what she said.
Okay.
Yeah, and because they do a similar thing in her school of teaching, which they start their students. She said they start their students up in fourth position, so that it's along the same. It's along the same lines.
Yeah.
Sort of a similar philosophy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is kind of it going in that direction. So anyway, so there's been a lot of good feedback from students, parents, as well as teachers.
Yeah.
So.
Good. Yeah, because I can imagine in group lessons, certainly, then you can't, you have to split your attention all the time, so you can't actually say wrist straight all the time. So,
right.
but even in private lessons, I, for example, used until now, until you sent me this one, I used the toilet rolls for that. But I feel like I'm in puppy training then, because they drop the toilet roll all the time, and I'm picking it up all the time.
Right.
Go get the toilet roll.
Yeah, I like that.
So, well, it gives me some exercise, but I think this is a bit more relaxed that it's fixed on the violin. So.
Yeah. You can, and it's less painful from the old school method, which was I heard people used to put tacks on the violin, like
or needles.
Pins. Yeah. So this is a little bit more humane. So and.
In Russia, however, they still.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think everything is clear. People can order it at wristrascal.com. So WRISTRASCAL. My English spelling is a bit rusty.
Yes, you got it. You got it.
Okay. So I want to thank you for sharing this, and I like it very much that you emailed me with this invention, because I really like to put innovations and new things that can serve violinists and violists, of course. And give them some more visibility. So I hope I've done that with this interview. I think your student is already at the door.
He's here. He's waiting for me in the back there.
Oh, but, okay.
Yeah. So thank you for having me. It's been great.
Yeah. Thanks. Have a nice day.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Violin Lounge TV. Zlata has a gift for you. The free workshop Weight versus Pressure. In this, she will teach you how to play the violin or viola effortlessly and comfortably. The secrets to creating a beautiful tone and to touch people's hearts with your violin or viola playing. Weight versus Pressure includes the 30-minute video masterclass Weight versus Pressure, the 44-page workshop binder, and the Weight versus Pressure body scan you can do yourself. People use it as a valuable reference for years. Go to www.violinlounge.com/free-workshop. Fill out your name and email address, go to your email inbox to confirm, and Zlata will send you the login details for the workshop within 1 hour. Enjoy happy practicing and beautiful playing.